Good morning, student. This is our computer class, and our chapter number 10, tables and forms in HTML, is going on. We have completed approximately half of the chapter, and today we are going to start from page number 126, vertical alignment, Welling. Welling attribute is used with TD tag and sets the vertical alignment of data in a column. The data can be set to top, middle or bottom. TD Welling is equal to top, align the content to the top of the cell. TD Welling bottom, align the content to the bottom of the cell. TD Welling middle, align the content to the middle of the cell, means it is default. Now spanning, you can combine two or more cell either column wise or row wise to convert them into a single cell. It is useful for displaying heading and titles in consecutive rows and columns. Now call span. Call span is used to combine cell horizontally. It specifies the number of the column that cell spans across and merges them to a single cell. Example, TD call span is equal to 4, where 4 is the number of column that the cell spans across. Now the row span. What is row span? Row span is used to combine cell vertically. It merges the number of the cell vertically and display them as a single cell. Example, TD row span is equal to 3, where 3 is the number of rows that the cell span across. Now the forms in the HTML. What are the forms of the HTML? One of the interesting features of the web is the interactive nature of web pages, which allow the visitor to interact and to add some relevant information in it. Forms incorporated in web pages allow a user to submit feedback, questions and concerns, to get more detailed response, to collect personal information such as name, email address, credit card details, to order a product or provide interface of a chart session. A form is a collection of field of information on a page. It resembles a paper or database from where a user fills the required information. The various fields of information in a form may contain text boxes, radio buttons, drop down menus, checkbox, password box, the other elements. These elements are called the form controls. Now the form field. A form field is a data entry field on a page. A user supplies information into a field either by typing text or by selecting a value from a list of predefined values. The simple HTML code contains two elements, the form elements and an input elements nested within the form of the element. The form element sets up an area of a web page for a form. The input element creates button, input text box, checkbox, etc. in the form of the area. Now the creating form. Every form uses a form element which begins with the form tag, and the element with the form tag, close form tag, is also include some special elements of each control, such as input element, select elements, and text area element. These tags inform the browser that anything is specified between them belonging to the form. First one is HTML, then body, then form, then after that the form elements, form close, body close, HTML close. Form can be classified into three sections, namely form header, input field, action button. To set up a form, you need to specify two important attributes, that is action and the method. First one is action. It normally specifies the page file that the form is submitted 2. The value could either be the URL to the script or an email address defined with milto function that should receive the form information. Now the methods, thus it specifies that the form information should be posted to the URL given in the action attribute. Possible values are get and post. Syntax form action. Mialto email ID method post name of the form and then form close. Get, this is the default value. It is used whenever you wish to email the form contents. Now post, you can make use of this value whenever you want to pass the information to the URL specified in the action attribute. Now the input elements. Input elements are the form of element that can accept input from the user. The following are some of the input elements that can be added to form. These are called the form control. First one is text box, then checkbox, then radio button, then password box. Beside the above mentioned control, we can have other elements also on our form, which are buttons, drop down list, pull down menu, text area, a multiple line text input. Now the input text and its attribute. Input text is used to create the form elements. The attribute which can be associated with this text are: first one is type. This attribute specify what type of form control will be added to the form. Text in the default type of an input elements. It defines only one line of the text. Name, every control in the form must have a name to identify it. It appears as the label in the form and should be unique. Value, it specifies the initial value of for the field. Now the size, it specifies the width of the input field. Now the max length, it specifies the maximum length of the characteristic for the input field. Now adding a text box allow a user to enter data such as characters and numbers. This input elements create a single line text box. In order to add a text box, you need to do the following: input type, then text, then you have to type the text. Here form specify the beginning of the form. Input type, now text, the value text indicate the text input field in the interface element. Name, first name is the name of the input field or text box. Size 30 specify the width of the text field. By default the size of the text input field is 20. Max length is equal to 30 specify the maximum number of characters that the user can enter in the input field. Now the value specify any default text in the input field. In the above case, since we have not specified anything within the code, so the input field will appear blank. So student, that's all from today's class. Rest chapter we will discuss in the next class. Thank you. Till then read the chapter. If you have any problem regarding this chapter, you can ask me. Thank you.